Hello, this is Running Robert, and today we're going to be talking about the Xeris Pharmaceuticals XERS Phase 2 data summary. Today is the 3rd of June of 2024, and we got this data last Thursday, so we have been looking through it, and we're ready to pretty much kind of break it down and maybe look at the possibility of sales for this drug. So I generally follow small cap pharma. I do some games. I do a little bit of everything. So if you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. It helps out a lot, and thank you. The disclaimer is I do not own shares at the moment. Now, if you go back in 2023, this was my top stock pick. So I wrote this baby up from $1 to $3, where then I did begin to reduce some of my position from at $3 down to $2.50. So that's where I am. But of course, I see potential. So that's why I'm still covering it, still following it. Though at the moment, I'm just sitting on the sidelines, but I probably will reinvest at some point. I'm an amateur investor, and any advice given should be followed up by your own due diligence. And any information given is valid for today, the 3rd of June, and the slideshow will not be updated. But as always, new news, new slideshow. So, what happened? Xeris released its data. It's using its new technology. It was good. So, they indicated the drug worked the same as the other methods, but less of it was needed. Super awesome. They did have a total of 30 participants, 65.2% of them experienced at least one treatment emergent adverse effect. However, most were mild or moderate. So this is something like, hey, you get treated and you get like a headache, maybe you feel dizzy for a little bit. So none of these were anything major, but kind of what you normally see with this kind of technology. So a majority of the group indicated that this was their preference. Now, this group, of course, is people who are probably unhappy with their current treatments, because if you are happy with your current treatment, you're not going to be like, let me try this experimental one. Not going to happen. So we're going to, of course, take that into consideration. Okay, so what happens next in the timeline? So this is more of the factual part of it. Not a lot of speculation other than what times need to happen. So the company will meet with the FDA by the end of the year to discuss what their end of phase 2 interactions and to get guidance on what the FDA wants to see in a phase 3 trial. The company is going to use that to start the trial in 2025, probably around mid-2025 is what I'm thinking. Obviously, could maybe push a little earlier if they meet with the FDA earlier, or the FDA gives them a very easy roadmap to what they're doing. The trial could be 1 to 2 years. I put that in there because it's going to be what the FDA wants to see. If they want to see a larger trial, it's going to take longer. If they want to see a smaller trial, it's going to take shorter. After that, they finalize the data and submit all of that to the FDA. That's about 3 to 6 months. Again, that primarily depends on how big the trial is. Following that, the company will submit an NDA and will be a 6 to 10 month review. So I'm not sure what kind of review they're going to get for it. So there's just a lot of options. So I'm just going to go very wide, saying that 6 months is the shorter review period, 10 months is the longest. It's going to be somewhere in there. So earliest approval would be 2027, but if you really look at the numbers for that, like I said, if they start in 2025, and it's a year trial, that's mid-2026. The data is end of 2026. And then, of course, even if it was a 6 month, it's going to be mid-2027. So looking at that, most likely it's going to be a 2028 or 2029 approval. So sales. So I made a Xeris video a few weeks ago, and it generated a lot of discussion, a lot of good discussion about how much sales can this thing? Because originally I was thinking, I don't see this as a major seller going into a very crowded marketplace with a lot of big main competitors. It's going to be hard even if they have a better drug. We've seen that before where a company has a better drug and they're smaller and they just cannot gain any traction. Now, a majority of the group, 72% that was in this trial, indicated that this was the preference for how they wanted to take it. Now, of course, again, I said, these are people who are going to not be happy with their current drug regimen. Like, that's simple enough. So, but that's still a fairly big population of that. When I get to the next slide, you'll see how big that could be. The question big is, how big is this niche? How many people would they be able to get into it? Would people who are happy to switch to the newer way, which is probably not, but again, you got to look at that as a discussion point. And would there be enough of a push to start this therapy as a first-line treatment, which means you get diagnosed and this is the first thing they give you? That is huge, because obviously if you're happy with it and it's the first thing you get, very little chance that you're going to switch off of it. And that's no matter what you're doing. So this is actually grabbed from the Xeris investors page. So we're looking at the US market opportunity. And of course, we see that, 103 million prescriptions are written per year. Then we're getting into those numbers. So that 47% is the first one we're looking at. That's people who have issues with oral absorption. So this is when a subcutaneous injection, super helpful. And then, of course, we got the 21, 17, and 15. Those, of course, might be in the 47, but we're not sure if that is going to be part of the group that they're going to be targeting. So what you're looking at is that big 47%. Obviously, if you can take any percentage of this, you're in good percent. Because let's be honest, if you even take, 1 or 2% of that group at 30 to 50 per weekly dose, you're doing pretty damn good. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So, of course, with 62 million weekly doses per year, their estimate may be a little high, but we're going to go with it for the moment. You don't need many doses to get up to that kind of good financial amount. Like, you just don't. If you can get 1 million of them, you're in the billions. 500,000, you're still doing pretty damn well. So, again, I'm definitely kind of moving towards not being a major mover to this drug could have some impact. Again, not sure how much though, because, the market's there, but will Xeris be able to take advantage of it? And again, I said, will the big boys let this come to pass? So we see this a lot with smaller companies. They get a drug that is better or a better way of doing it, and those companies will do anything in their power to stop it. And that's what they're supposed to do. They're not going to give up and say, oh, well, we're just going to give up on this, $2 billion market. Oh, well, no big deal. They're going to fight tooth and nail for it. So the big thing we're looking at is we're still looking at 2027 or later for approval. I think I discussed that timeline pretty well. But if the company can become cash neutral, we might start to see a significant raise in the stock in 2026. Again, I think this year, kind of a wash year. I know we'll get data at the end of the year for if we move on with another company. Obviously, another company could invest. We're going to have to see, or another deal might be made. But I believe that this year will be kind of a wash year. But then again, we're going to look at that 2026 as, hey, this is when we will be able to see approval in the window. And that is when I think the stock will start to explode. So a little bit of a way, but we're going to continue to follow it and see how it goes. Obviously, investing next year might be something that's pretty safe because we're going to be in a good spot. So hopefully this gave you enough information to just make a good decision, or at least give you something to think about. And as always, I'm always welcome to discussions. So if you want to write to the comments below or to wherever I post, hey, please do it. I like it. I like the discussion. I like to get more educated if needed. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.